So MSNBC highlighted a list of U.S. presidents from best to worst. And guess who came in dead last? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about MS-13 also known as MSNBC, highlighting a list from historians and scholars of U.S. presidents ranked from the best to the worst. And before you see anything else in the video, right when I asked you the very first question, you already could predict who was going to be dead last if MSNBC is showing it, and that is President Trump. Now, let's just be honest. There are quite a few presidents much worse than Trump. This is a thing that can't be argued. It can be argued, but honestly, it really shouldn't be. I think people on the left and the right can agree that there are many more presidents worse than Trump. Jimmy Carter comes to mind. That's one. And just so you know, I'm not a partisan person talking about all liberals and Democrats or whatever. How about W and HW? I think they were both worse than Donald Trump. And you know the reason why? It's because HW got beat by Slick Willie. Now, I know you had Ross Perot in the mix, but there wouldn't have been room for Ross Perot if HW fulfilled his campaign promises. Read my lips, no new taxes. If he did that, then maybe he wouldn't have got stomped in the wine by Ross Perot and Slick Willie in 1992. But different story, and I digress. Let's look at this list right quick. Then we're going to get into the actual news clip from MS-13 DNC. You see they got Lincoln number one, of course, because he freed the slaves. Roosevelt, Washington. I think Washington should be number one, but that's, we can get into the discussion about that in a little bit. Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, Harry Truman, Mr. Obama at number 7. I think that's stretching. I think that is a tad bit of a stretch to have Mr. Obama at number 7. Okay, then you have Eisenhower, LBJ. I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for 200 years, that LBJ. JFK, and then you have number 14, Biden. Do you think President Joe Biden should be ranked that high? Number 14? I mean, come on, really? This guy who's barely able to walk and talk on his own? And then, of course, you have at the very last slot, President Donald Trump. Okay, there have been 45 presidents over 46 presidencies. So I think Trump may have been the 45th presidency, but maybe the 44th president. If I'm wrong, y'all let me know. But you see that they have Trump ranked dead last. Now, we're going to get into the actual clip here. Again, this is not necessarily MSNBC's list, but they're highlighting it. This is from historians and scholars. And of course, I will link to this and the list and more in the description box. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. The one president, I just don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Okay, that was Donald Trump actively rooting against the well-being of this country and the American people, saying he hopes the economy crashes this year because he, quote, doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover. Well,
I mean, come on, like this. I have a really hard time watching this stuff, but I'm watching it for you guys because I want to get down to the bottom of what they're talking about as far as this list is concerned. Let's get to it.
Trump got his wish. A new poll out today shows that he is not Herbert Hoover. He's actually way, way worse. The poll of historians and scholars ranks every president in U.S. history from best. Okay,
so lowest ranked presidents: 35, Richard Nixon; 36, Herbert Hoover; 37, John Tyler; 39, Millard Fillmore; 40, Harding; 41, William Henry Harrison; 42, Franklin Pierce; 43, Andrew Johnson; 44, James Buchanan; and 45, Donald Trump. Wow.
Best to worst. And while Herbert Hoover received the 36th spot, Trump is ranked dead last at 45. Behind the likes of Richard Nixon, Franklin Pierce, even William Henry Harrison, who died 31 days after taking office. Joining me now is NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss. Michael, you got to be pretty terrible to be ranked below James Buchanan, Civil War failure, pre-Civil War failure, and a guy who only lived for 31 days as president. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd say so. And Richard Nixon, who would have been impeached and probably put in jail if it weren't for a pardon by Gerald Ford, don't you think?
I would think. Let me put up the top 10.
I have to begin by asking, am I actually getting to talk to the #1 New York Times bestselling author of...
Oh my goodness, good grief, man. Like, just get on with the list. Why we gotta do all this extra just brown nosing? I mean, sir, really? I mean, that was gross. Like, let's just get straight to the list, man.
Murley, as of this week, everyone give their congratulations to Joy. That's not an easy thing to do, and the book deserves it.
Thank you. And I think it was your blurb. I think your blurb did it. I do believe that's what did it.
I wish. Glad to take the credit, but it doesn't deserve it.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you. You are a good friend. You are a good guy. Well, let's talk about these rankings. I'm obsessed with these rankings, by the way. I cannot wait for them to come out every year. I don't know if you're on this committee, but I'm obsessed with it.
No, I'm
Here
not.
are the top 10. You're not on it. Well, here are the top 10. Abraham Lincoln, who always ranks up the top, usually George Washington here at the top. FDR moving up into number 2. He moved up. Yep. Jefferson's still there despite the...
So are they ranking them every year? Like, I mean, as far as I know, these people are all dead. How do the rankings change? I don't really understand. Maybe when you bring in a new president, there might be some changing, but I don't really understand how you can have the top of the list really change much if there's not new people being introduced.
Gulag with an enslaved person under his bedroom. Barack Obama jumps up to number 7. Harry Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy standing up there at 10. Lyndon Johnson at 9. Do you agree with these rankings?
I'd have some differences. It's hard to compare presidents across the generations. You know, they all had different problems, different times. They were living at times that certain ideas were more important than others. I mean, for instance, Theodore Roosevelt, I don't know when historians are going to wake up to the fact that the guy used terribly racist rhetoric, very white supremacist. The 1912 Theodore Roosevelt Progressive Party Bull Moose platform was for segregation of the races in America. So I'm not sure how long that's going to stick.
I mean, yeah, all these people, like, you're talking about older presidents, 1700s. I mean, what was going on during that particular time in the world, not just in the USA, but the world. So I want to know what metrics they're using to actually rank these people. What are they basing it on? On their performance as president? Like, what is it? Just popularity? Because come on, you're going to rank Trump at the very last. No new wars under Trump. We had a prosperous economy. Everything was good. The only issue might have been C-19, which impacted the entire planet, not just the USA. And it still has lingering effects on the entire planet right now. So to judge him based on that as the worst president ever would be ridiculous. I think what they're doing is saying that they don't like Trump. They're using the Mini metric to rank him dead last. This is a political thing. Just like you saw that disgusting brown-nosing corporate type stuff right there. It's the same kind of ideology that goes into the ranking system for the presidents. But let's keep on going.
Right. I mean, Woodrow Wilson used to always get in the top 10. He used to drive me nuts. I'm like, this guy was a horribly racist monster, but he dropped out, right? So he's gone down. I'm interested in some of the movement. Andrew Jackson used to get ranked highly. He's dropped out of the top 10, which I think is a good thing. He's now at 21. He's down 12 places since 2015. And as I mentioned, Woodrow Wilson, he's down 5 points since 2015. Right. Some of those are good. What do you think about the idea of Barack Obama being so high? Because I think he used to be 11 and now he's 7. He's moved up.
Well, I think he has moved up, and I think...
You know what they're going to eventually do with all these movements is rank him number 1. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do that because he's black. No other real reason, because what did we gain under Mr. Barack Obama? Just to be fair and reasonable, what did we gain under Obama? I don't really... What would warrant him being the top-ranked president of all time? What warrants him being number 7? I don't understand that ranking the same as I don't understand Trump being dead last. These things don't make any sense to me.
I think he will move up further. And as far as Andrew Jackson is concerned, it shows that, you know, historians can do the right thing. It takes us a while. He was president in the early 19th century. But, you know, a liberal like Arthur Schlesinger, the historian, wrote a glowing book about Andrew Jackson. LBJ had Andrew Jackson's portrait in the Oval Office. But We now, given what people are justifiably more sensitive to, this was the guy who did to Native Americans, who was responsible for the Trail of Tears, and he was a slaveholder. Why should he be that high on the list?
Okay, I'll probably just pause it right there. There's more to the video, but for time's sake, I'm gonna pause it right there. Trail of Tears, one fun fact about the Trail of Tears, like, I'm not gonna say all natives did this, but on the Trail of Tears, some of the natives who were displaced and sent Oklahoma, places like that, they also had black slaves with them. They brought black slaves on the Trail of Tears with them, just for a little bit of context, so we understand what was happening during that time and we don't get lost in the sauce. But as I close, I want to say this. I mean, these lists, it's, you know, a list like this kind of reminds me of the Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards, when the award itself doesn't really mean that much. Is it about rewarding people for their artistic excellence, for their performances, for their arrangement? Is it about rewarding excellence, or is it about a popularity contest? Is it about trying to virtue signal? Is it about being woke? What is it really about? The same thing I say about the Grammys and the Emmys and the Tonys or whatever is the exact same thing I say about this particular list. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your thoughts on this list? Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Who is your top president of all time? Your number one president? And who is your worst president? Do you have a list of all 45 in order from best to worst? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This list, to me, it kind of doesn't really mean a lot because it's obviously political. It's political because you're talking about politicians, but it's political as far as the ranking. And then they keep changing from year to year based upon whatever the current mood in the country is. Okay, we don't like Andrew Johnson because of a TikTok that went viral. Okay, let's rank him 10 spots lower. That's kind of what's going on right here, in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.